threat from uptown. You know my sound is major. I know you like the lyrics, kid, so just do me a favor. Tell the tech to turn my dad up. This is a fact. Hey, yo, don't back up, because I wanna dive in and swim in the mentals where your thoughts roam. I wanna make your dome my home, therefore you'll never be alone. But when you hear my song, sing along with the rhythm, cause I got faith in fat beats that I give them. Yes, it's the ears, and I'm checking out the blonde one. Maybe I can have one, maybe I can con one. Chill, I'm one with God, brothers. It's hard to stay straight until you're scared straight, and then you can't wait to get out.
Welcome to the 100th Monkey Radio with Tom and the Monkey Crew. We've got quite a crew with us today. We are recording this on June 11th, right?
June 10th.
June 10th. All right. I don't even know what day it is. We've got a special treat for you guys tonight, and we're going to do this type of show. I think we're going to shoot for once a month. And we'd like to give you guys kind of an idea of where the Monkey Crew is in their own personal growth and the kind of things that we see and are experiencing, and the way that we kind of see how all of this is all put together. We will bring in some friends and relatives and maybe some extra special people into these conversations too. Like tonight, we've got Greg's wife with us tonight, Stephenie. She's had some amazing experiences herself that she's going to be sharing with us, and we've got my daughter Deon, the one that used to say Dad was crazy. She's here and is going to share some of her experiences and some of the amazing things that she's doing with her life right now. So let's go around the circle here, and everybody introduce yourself. Let's start with
me.
Yeah.
LFE. I'm Jake LFE. So I'm new to the radio show. We've been doing this for a few months now, and I've sat on most of the shows in the last about 4 or 5 months now. We've been sitting in on them and just listening.
Oh.
And I've been a long-time listener of the show, and now I have the opportunity to speak and ask questions on the show, so I'm very grateful for that. I'm very grateful for this opportunity. And Tom's my uncle. He was Crazy Uncle Tom all the way up until about 6 years ago. Six years ago?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Christmas time, right?
Yeah, Christmas time. And now this side of the family is getting crazy, I guess. They're getting insane.
Yeah, now he's Crazy Jake for the rest of the family.
Yeah.
They're like, oh my God, Tom is really taking Jake down that crazy path.
Yeah.
He boarded the crazy train with Tom.
Yeah, I didn't see Ozzy on it, though.
Yeah, right. And then we have Greg with us. He's another
Hello.
one of the co-hosts here on the show.
Yes, I'm one of the newer ones to the group of the whole awakening experience, all this, although we talk about. I'm new to all of it within a year, and I'm just growing so much. Every day, it's always something, and it's amazing steps to just great new path, great new life, and I'm glad to be part of it and proud of this. Proud to be glad. I'm proud to be here, guys.
We're definitely glad to have you, Greg. One of the cool things about the dynamics of this show now that I really like, and I think is going to really reflect in the way we come across to our audience, is we have 3 completely different places on the path right here. We've got me. I've been on the path for 30 years. We've got Jake. LFE, he's been on the path for 6 years, and then we have Greg. He's been on the path for a year. Yeah, so I mean, we've got some 3 completely different perspectives from completely different places on that consciousness journey, and I think that the questions and the comments and the interaction that all 3 of us have are going to reach a much wider audience and are going to be able to relate to a lot more people because of that dynamic. So I'm really excited about it, and I'm really happy to have both of you joining in on the show every week.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, and we've got Greg's wife with us tonight, Stephenie.
Yeah, hi, I'm Stephenie and Greg's wife, and I'm excited and a little nervous to be here today. I've been on the spiritual crazy path since, 1997, and, with a few stops and goes in between, and I'm really excited to be here today. and yeah, chat with you guys and let you know what I experienced. Pretty cool stuff in the meantime.
Especially recently.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll definitely dig into that. And we have Deon with us too. Deon, how you over there? Deon's the four of us here that you've just heard are all sitting in the same room in the living room and having a good time, able to get some good eye contact. But Deon actually lives about 25 miles away from us and has got some other things in her life going on, so was not able to get down here and have us all in that nice intimate setting. But Deon is via Skype. Deon.
Hey guys, and I might be missing out on some group action down there, but I have to say I'm on my back patio in a hammock, surrounded by plants and art and sunshine and birds, and I'm it's been worse, I guess.
Oh, you poor thing.
Yeah, and it's my day off, and I'm just, I really treasure my R&R time. We're thinking about maybe picking up shop and heading out to the ocean later this afternoon, too. So I'm really sort of enjoying the spontaneous energy of today, and I guess you could say the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree.
There you go.
I've been, I think very open-minded my entire life, but there's a defining moment where you really start to see synchronicity in action and your own personal impact on the world and how you create it. And that was the first moment that I kind of had that aha moment, was actually at my little brother's graduation, and I had just seen all sorts of crazy car color combinations and numbers on license plates, and it was the first time I really noticed it, and it all of a sudden became uncanny. And I got to the graduation and I look at my dad and I'm like, what is going on here? And he's like, see? And, I think before that, I don't know if I really thought he was straight up crazy, because I think I've always had a little bit of crazy in me too. But, I definitely understood. I understood him on another level at that point, and it really kind of helped me feel really safe to explore, what it means to be a creator and a creation and a part of, a whole in a way that we have not perceived, historically. So it's a special time for me and everybody, and I think it's just so cool that, this kind of conversation is becoming more and more and more regular. And, it's a daily part of my life now. I know it's a daily part of your guys' lives. And, pretty soon it's going to be common sense.
Oh, yeah, that 100th monkey, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
No more small talk.
Yeah.
That's one of the hardest things to do now, for me at least, is just the small talk that you kind of have to engage in just to interact in this world. But it seems like more and more lately, small talk with people that I don't know very well or guys I work with turns into a lot more than small talk.
Right, because we understand what words do now.
Yeah.
I mean, when you get yourself on the path and you start understanding, number one, that we are creators. I mean, when you really understand that, and that becomes a knowing within yourself, then those words that you put out, are creative actions. So, first off, when you first realize that, you go, oh my God, oh my God, everything's eggshells. I'm walking on eggshells everywhere. I can't, am I saying this right? Should I say this? Am I going to do, geez, you're checking yourself constantly, and there's that fear of even interacting with anybody that kicks in, because you're afraid that you're going to do something wrong. You're afraid that you're going to, hurt yourself or create something that you don't want. And they say with greater wisdom and knowledge comes greater power and responsibility. So, or how's it go? No, with greater power comes greater responsibility.
Spider-Man.
Right.
Yeah.
So exactly. That kind of puts people back on their heels and makes them really start paying attention to what they're doing and how they're putting themselves out there in the world, and it takes time to get over that initial fear hump of interaction. But then once you get into a more comfortable zone, then what LFE was saying kind of takes part, because then all that small talk, you realize that, that small talk's creative process. And when you're sitting there talking about and slamming somebody or gossiping about somebody, you're not creating any good with that. So it really takes probably 90% of the conversations that happen in this planet, it takes them completely off the table, because they are, you see that they're not really productive.
Yeah, and you can also see, if you're engaging with these conversations, and this happens a lot at work for me at least, is that these people, they'll start talking about something or talking about somebody or, the company or whatever. And, it's all negative. Everything they say is negative. But then as soon as you, try to flip it a little bit on them, that's when the conversation turns, and I find it easier and easier to turn the conversation in my favor. So, if you want to bitch and moan about somebody, great, but, I'm not going to give you any leeway in it. I'm going to listen to you for a little bit, and then I'm going to put my 2 cents in, and I'm not going to be bitching and moaning about nobody. I'm going to be, pointing something else out or saying, have you looked at it like this? Have you seen it through this way?
Let's flip that coin over.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and for me, I've known for a long time, known of the fact that consciousness and energy creates a matter of reality. But in my mind, I was thinking, sometimes. Well, no, not sometimes, all the time, But I can know of something, but if I don't feel it inside of me, I'm not fully experiencing it. But the first part for me is always, okay, so now I know of it. How am I going to apply it? How am I going to actually be aware? And the more my awareness rises, the more I can see that all the time, consciousness.
It's that conscious baseline.
Yeah.
We have that baseline of consciousness, our average of how we walk on this path, And are you aware? Are you conscious, and are you paying attention to what's happening inside your mind and what's coming out of your mouth? And even somebody that's been on the path their whole life, they slip into kind of a neutral mode or a oblivious mode, or the reactive mode, right, where they're just reacting casually with the conversation. And the more somebody pays real close attention, obviously the better the tone is in the reaction, as far as the better the tenor of the reaction is in being more positive or more negative, or just random. It's going to lean more towards a positive the higher your conscious baseline gets. So and I even do it. I do it myself every day. I slip off. I let go of the awareness where I'm not really paying attention to what I'm projecting out there. And I've taken a look back at interactions after I have a conversation with somebody or I react to somebody. I will catch that in a conscious moment, and I'll review it and look at how that went, and I'll note that my conscious baseline, my baseline for projecting positive things, for projecting lowering the entropy, my baseline is showing that I'm doing a lot better than I used to do in the way I react to people. In the state of unawares, when I'm not in that place of really paying attention to what's going on.
What really did it for me was a couple of years back, I had a book of matches, and I had my last match, and I remember thinking, wow, this one's really important. This one matters more than the first. And it hit me, no, it doesn't. Each one is just as important in the moment as the last.
Excellent metaphor.
Yeah.
Excellent metaphor.
Wow.
Goosebumps.
It matters all the time.
Yeah, that's good. That's good stuff. So,
yeah, I find myself more of like a slippery fish when it comes to witnessing and observing, all the different quote unquote levels of consciousness people exist at. You know, I find that devil's advocate works really, really well for me.
Yeah.
So, you know, I see a form of elation and my mind goes straight to, okay, what's the downside here? You know, and then I see a depression somewhere and immediately I think, you know, okay, what's the upside? And, you know, I think that, you know, confusion can sometimes come up around like being positive all the time, you know, and versus creating what you want. And, you know, I don't know, I just tend to, the further down this road that I go, the less serious I actually take the seriousness of the truth that's unfolding in front of me. And, you know, I find myself constantly challenged by new personalities, you know, doing what I do now. I'm working with the public in such a broad manner. I mean, all walks of life. And I get challenged to release judgment about people in the state that they walk through those doors. And it's been fascinating and really humbling and really just solidifying of this feeling that, oh my gosh, it's perfect and it's been perfect all along. And, you know, I still have my challenging moments where I forget these things, but I think the most fundamental part of, you know, my personal growth comes from, you know, questioning everything.
There you go. Yeah. So Deon has had a very interesting path, especially the last year. Some really amazing things have developed for her. And, you know, I've made this comment several times before about her that, you know, I've been on this path for a long time. And for me to reach certain levels, or if you want to call them levels, you know, have certain knowings that became part of Tom, you know, I had to go through a lot of crap and it took a lot more time than what it takes today because of all the information and what's been put out there on the Ethernet, you know. It's so much easier now to make those big leaps and bounds on the consciousness path than it was back in the day. And, you know, I watched Deon blossom and flower in her consciousness over the last, you know, geez, what's it been, Deon? What is that, 6 years, 7 years? And I've watched her just expand leaps and bounds so much faster than I ever dreamt that was possible. And she's become quite an amazing, conscious individual. And Deon, if you would, I'd kind of like you to share some of the things that you're doing now, and you know, some of the things that are happening in your life that are unfolding for you, and some observations surrounding those that you've noted.
Well, I'll probably start with how I feel like I got here, because I think the backstory is a little bit important, because I feel like how I created where I'm at is, you know, a direct result of, you know, just major deep metaphysical exploration. And, you know, I kind of disconnected myself with my life as I knew it about probably 5 years ago, and just I started going down to East Eddy with my dad and reading all these crazy books and watching all these crazy shows and having all these awesome conversations and synchronicities. And in the meantime, I got into crystals and minerals, and, you know, the Pandora's box that comes with, you know, studying them and working with them. And Feng Shui became a really big, powerful method of healing for me, and understanding the world, like really kind of seeing how the environment that we create for ourselves affects this giant subconscious that's, you know, measuring and recording everything that we experience. And so I started working on a very physical level with these crystals, doing grids. We've moved around a lot to what feels like these injured vortexes or grid points of, you know, ley lines that, I'm sure most of the people listening to this probably have some concept of, ley lines and the earth grid and all that stuff. But, each time we moved, it felt extremely auspicious and intentional. Like, even maybe I wasn't intending to move in that moment, but I was going with it because the feng shui work that I was doing was sort of like indicating, okay, we fixed this little spot right here, time to move on to the next. And eventually, or I guess parallel to all that, I worked in the medical marijuana industry. And, marijuana that has been something that has, played a role in my personal expansive process, really to, shift my brainwaves around, the conscious construct of, what I've learned from society and all the belief systems that we're bombarded with. So I got to sort of set those aside, and that was really how that was a tool for me. But long story short, with the feng shui, with the medical marijuana, with my intention to, be a part of something really amazing, I really, feel passionately about playing some role in our collective evolution. And I landed myself in a leadership position in a recreational marijuana shop in Washington. And it was the first shop to open up in the state capital. And we just made it into the top 10% of, profitable stores in Washington. And the whole journey there has been totally magical. I've actually brought, everybody sort of entertained my feng shui eccentricities, and I've got, the whole place gridded. And, I see people walking through those doors every day who are just so meant to be there and have, a 5-second conversation and interaction with me where we, exchange way more than was ever said, or, a 10-minute conversation with me. Like the other day, some guy saw a piece of organite on my dashboard, and, that sort of opened all sorts of doors of, common interests, and it sort of proved to me how knowledge of, sort of the expanding awareness and alternative technologies is really getting out there. So yeah, I work in the recreational marijuana industry, and it all feels extremely divinely orchestrated. And we manifested the building that we're in. We used to share with a tire shop, and the tire shop has moved on now, and we've been expanding so rapidly that now we're going to expand into the whole building, and I was offered part ownership of that. And when I originally kind of cut ties with this world and how I knew it, I had cut ties financially as well. Basically quit my job and just sort of was winging it, just making ends meet, and we had to sacrifice some things, but, what we got out of it was worth it. But we decided, cutting ourselves out of the world as it is not the solution either. We want to integrate it all together, and I feel like this is a manifestation of being in this world, maybe not so much of this world, but thriving in this world. And that's the direction that I want, personally myself to go, but, I want to share that in any way that I can with other people, and I'm just in a unique position, and I couldn't be more thrilled.
Yeah, that's a key thing, being in this world, but not of this world, and I've stressed that with so many people that, you gotta have one foot in both worlds. Otherwise you're going to be unbalanced. You're either going to be, you'll be taken into the complete, materialistic greed things. I need more things. I want more stuff. Money, 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 money. Or you're going to be so airy-fairy that you can't function in this world. Going to the grocery store is a trauma. It gets. I've seen both extremes. The one extreme, the greed end of it, the materialistic end of it, it's very easy to see for most people. But being in this field as I have been for quite a few years now, I definitely seen both sides of that coin, where it it's taken to the extreme on both ends, and people just can't function if they don't have, some grounding in the third dimension also. I mean, being here isn't a bad thing. Being here is actually a really good thing. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here, right? I mean, it goes back to that question, what kind of universe do you live in? Do you live in a universe that is out to get you, that hates you, that wants to set you up, or do you live in a universe that loves you, cares for you, and wants to give you everything? Having that balance is extremely important.
Yeah, and it's also, when we bring ourselves to this level, where we can, walk in both, where we can be balanced and walk in both worlds. I mean, just our energy fields going out and interacting with the public too. I mean, that is beneficial for everybody involved. I mean, the brighter your light shines, you're just gonna turn somebody else on, and your reflection on them, or your energy brush with them, or whatever you want to call it. It might not spark anything in them that day or that week or that month or that year, but I mean, at some point in time, there's going to be enough of us walking around to where, our energy is just going to, anybody who's not in that field, they're just going to have to be in that field. I mean, I kind of see that as everybody's doing their part.
They will be in that field, and they are actually in that field regardless of whether or not they care to acknowledge it.
Yeah.
And it does have an effect. All of our interactions have an effect. I mean, just as each one of us being here on the planet has an effect on the rest of the planet, the whole thing. And believe it or not, it's a whole universe. But more poignantly right here on planet Earth. And I think those effects, the proverbial butterfly effect, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we affect everything everything in every way, in every time, and it's a constant process.
An angel just flew by. When the silence opens up, everybody quiets down.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
I can't hear whoever's talking right now.
Let's see. Greg? Greg, is your mic turned on? Are you...
Deon, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Use this mic. What's the last you heard?
I didn't hear anything.
Go back.
I just
Go
got
back.
quiet.
Start over, Greg. One more time. Take two.
Okay. Well, I was just saying, since my short time of being awakened, I have noticed the big difference of the type of energy around me. From before, I walk around and work, and I just have people just everyday conversation, small talk, anywhere I go, and now I go the same places, and I feel less judgment. I feel the air clear. Things that we're talking about are just there. It means the conversations are just easy to talk about and feel the love.
So now the question is was the judgment you were feeling before from others or from you?
It was from me.
Yeah.
I was my toughest critic, and I was the one beating myself up. That's the big difference is in myself.
Yeah.
And I'm able to hear what other people, actually feeling. Because what I was feeling from them may not have been the truth. It's what I thought they were feeling. But now I know it's totally different. It's so much better now. The love is just greater.
Well, for me, I can still relate to all you guys because I felt I had this riddling fear of anything and everything which originated in myself. and it stopped me from doing anything. And I thought, well, how can I be courageous if I have fear? And then I looked up the definition of the word, and courage is moving forward in spite of fear. And then it hit me. It's okay to be scared sometimes, but you move forward in spite of it. And I thought, well, gosh, I can do that. I'm scared, and I think I can go ahead. And that's when everything changed for me. It was like, oh, courageous doesn't mean I'm necessarily totally without fear. And then the more I do it, the fear disappears. And so that's what I've been learning lately. Without fear, we're free, but we got to move forward in spite of it, because I'm still human.
You know, I think on some level, without fear, there is no growth. You know, I mean, I think that especially here in the third dimension and the paradigm that we've created for ourselves here, that fear is an integral part of the growth process here. I mean, that's what the fear has always been, or especially even more so now. If I find something that triggers that fear within me, I take a close look at it. I consider myself a pretty fearless guy, you know, but there are still things that trigger me that you know, and there's a lot of different levels of fear, right? There's that full spectrum. That hesitation, is it just hesitation for what reason? Is it actually fear for some reason? Fear that, you know, I'm not going to put myself out there in a way that somebody else is going to like? Am I going to, you know, offend somebody? Or am I going to embarrass myself? Or if I say it this way, is somebody going to think less of me? You know, all those different things, that full spectrum of stuff that comes out there. So even those hesitations that I feel when I'm interacting with people, that hesitation is something that I now consciously pay attention to. If I have that feeling of hesitation, I look at it. Why am I hesitant here? You know, what am I afraid of out of this situation? And by doing that and being able to do that, I'm able to really dig into the core of those things and resolve them, you know, and figure out, you know, what the trigger is, you know. Helps a lot.
Yeah, so fear could be considered a catalyst to growth.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You let it.
Yeah. So, Stephenie.
Yeah.
Could you tell us about the experience you had a few weeks ago with the angel?
Oh, yes, I'd love to.
And before, if you're curious about this experience, I posted the pictures that she had taken on our Facebook page.
We can repost them.
And yeah, and I'll repost them when this airs also.
Okay, so well, here we go. I'm going to backtrack just a little bit. Just like Deon was saying, you know, it's part of my story. I've always loved God, but never understood religion, but always loved God. And even though I couldn't define it or whatever, there was always some kind of yearning inside of me. And in 1997, I went to a Gnostic school of ancient knowledge, and you know, I was told consciousness and energy creates the matter of reality, and that God lives within me, not without me. And that rang true to me. For the first time, it was like, oh, wow, okay, that sounds right. And then in the meantime, I started dreaming consciously, and, you know, I discovered a whole new world. And then something happened, and alcoholism took over. I gave myself to it, and because I just didn't know any other way at the time, and I became a raging alcoholic. So I sobered up in 2009. Oh,
just keep it in the center.
Okay, sorry, I'm moving too much. Okay, so I sobered up in 2009, and then, you know, conscious awareness was something that had left me, and so I had to regain it. And we met Jake, and we started doing sweat lodges, and that's pretty much what triggered it all to turn back on. And I had been thinking about our DNA and the similarity of the Milky Way and our DNA and the stars and just all these little thoughts. And a friend of mine sent me a text on April 27th. No, was it 26th or 27th? Either way, one of those days. And it was a little door, and it was open, and a light was shining through it. Excuse me. And it said, every once in a while, your loved ones will open a door from heaven just to say hello and to remind you that they are still with you, just in a different way. And I was thinking, wow, that's beautiful. And I thanked the lady for texting me that, and I contemplated the door to heaven. And literally, I was on the pot peeing as I was contemplating it, right? So it wasn't fancy. In my mind,
doesn't have to be.
No, and that's the whole thing. It doesn't have to be fancy. You can be sitting on the pot. And I remember I was wiping myself, and then I was like, oh, the door to heaven. Well, gosh, I feel like I've been locked out of heaven for too long. If I chose to come down here, how would I reopen it? So I just contemplated the little door in the text, and it was a wooden door. And I was getting ready to push it open, and it turned into a golden gate, a huge golden gate. And I was thinking, yeah, okay, I'll open that. And I just pushed it open with all my might in my mind, like a daydream. And I jumped in, and I said, I'm back. And I thought, well, that was cool. And then I went on about my day. And it really, I didn't really think anything great happened at the time. It was neat, but I didn't really know. So then the next day, I remember just waking up and just feeling so much love in me and looking at everything in and with love. And I went to my garden to water my plants, and I sing to them. And so I was singing my funky little song and saying, I love you guys are beautiful, just like that. And I saw something swooping out of the corner of my eye, and so I turned to it, and it's this black thing. That's all I can say at the time. And I'm looking at it, and I'm thinking, well, maybe, because it's circular, but it looked more like a square with rounded corners, but it was more than three-dimensional. And it was black, pitch black, and it was sparkling, and it had like a sparkly grid on it. So I was thinking, well, gosh, what could this be? And, of course, my human mind is like, well, maybe it's a balloon, a giant balloon from a car lot. But it wasn't being moved by the wind or anything. It was doing whatever it wanted to. So then finally I decided, well, maybe it's a spaceship. And as I said that in my mind, a light came out of it. And it was as if it looked at me. And I talked back to it, and I thought, well, gosh, it looks like you're looking at me. And I laughed. But I still wasn't sure the whole time. I still didn't know. So then I said, well, I should probably say something just in case. And I said, well, welcome. If you come from the highest place of love, you are welcome. If you do not, you must leave. But I send you love either way. So it just stayed there for a while. And it changed in size and shape. I can't really explain it. I'd never seen anything like it before. And then it just started hovering away. And I'm going, gosh, well, it's big and it's pitch black and it's in a blue sky. I'm sure thousands of people are seeing it, but I should take a picture of it. So I did. I took a picture of it, and then I went back to my garden. And I'm still trying to, explain to myself, maybe it was a drone, or maybe it was this, or just still not sure. So I go back to watering and singing my silly song. And once again, something swoops out of the corner of my eye. This time, there is no doubt I am having an experience. There is a freaking huge, pitch black fire angel. I mean, it's about 20 foot tall and huge black wings. And it has a defined head, but no face. And it's just black, sparkling fire. That's the best I can describe it.
What was its form kind of like flickering like fire does as far as
it was a little it was flowy like fire.
And,
Yeah. It was flowy like fire, and it was moving, but not with the wind. And it had a tail, like instead of legs, it had like this swirly fire genie tail, and it was just pitch black and sparkling. And so then I'm going, oh my God! So now I'm screaming. I'm yelling at it, going, oh my God, you're an angel, you're a huge black angel. And so my humanity in me is like, oh, it's black. Is that good? Is that bad? I don't know. So I say the same thing, I say, well, welcome, if you come from the highest place of love, you're so welcome. And if you don't, you're not. But either way, I send you love. And it just hung out. it stayed there for anywhere between 3 to 5 minutes, and I was just staring at it and screaming, going, "Oh my God!" And maybe it would have said something, I don't know, but I wouldn't shut up, so I don't know. And it started. Same thing. It started flying away or floating away or whatever you call that towards the west, and so I didn't have my phone on me anymore, so I ran into the house, grabbed my phone, took a picture of it, called my husband, and told him I just saw an angel, blah, 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 blah. And he's going, "Yeah, honey, I'm going to have to talk to you later." And I'm going, "No, really, I just saw an angel. Yeah, I'm going to have to talk to you later." So I'm pacing back and forth in my house and going, "Who are you? Where did you go? What was this all about?" And it was as if someone turned on the radio in my head, and it started singing, "Thank you for being a friend. Travel down the road and back again." So I looked up the song, and its full version. I'd never heard its full version. And the very last passage, it says, "And when we die and float away into the night, the Milky Way, you'll hear me call and we'll ascend. Then once again, thank you for being a friend." And I'm like, okay, that's a good sign. That's a good sign. And ever since then, just all sorts of things have been happening. I've been able to see auras and lights, and I've been dreaming outrageous, beautiful dreams. And I've been going to other planets, and angels. This time it was an angel of light was talking to me and showing me new moons, and I know things that I never knew before. And it's just opened up a whole new door. And I think that angel came because I opened the door to heaven while I was coming off the freaking pot.
Ask and you shall be given, right?
Yeah.
You know, universe responds that easily, and that's one thing people don't quite get that. You know, when we put it out there, it's like a giant machine. Ultimately, the universe and the way creation works, it's like a machine. It's cause and effect. You know, what we put out, we get back. You ask for something, it's given. It is always given. Now, it doesn't always come in the form that we envisioned, what we actually intended, but we are really clumsy with the way we ask. I mean, we're extremely clumsy with the way we ask. I mean, it takes a full package. You have to ask completely for, if you want something specific, you have to be in complete alignment with the way that you are projecting it out there. And when I say complete alignment, that's mind, body, and soul have to be in alignment when you're projecting that question to universe. If one of those things is not in perfect alignment, then what you're going to get back is going to be universe's interpretation of what you're asking for. It's not going to be exactly what your mind is picturing. It's not going to be what you're picturing. It's going to be its interpretation of what it heard from you.
It's like a little kid writing a letter to Santa Claus, and every third word is missing.
Right. Yeah. That is a good one. Yeah.
Well, the one thing that really hit me was that I was actually a little scared when I first saw it.
Oh,
I was actually scared.
It's kind of a trip.
And, I had to go, okay, this is kind of, because it's different. It was the unknown. And it just, I realized, oh my gosh, it's okay. Of course, it's different. You don't know it. It's okay to be taken back by it. It doesn't care. It's okay, because it knows that I'm still human, but I forget. I make it so hard on myself sometimes. And because I'm not well read or educated, I always thought, well, I'm just not going to be smart enough to do any of this. And it's not true. It's simple. It's not hard. It's simple. All I have to do is put my heart in it. That's it. And it doesn't have to be fancy words. It doesn't have to be in a fancy place. It's simple. It's easy.
It really is. It really is. It's that alignment thing is key. I mean, having your full being in alignment with what you're petitioning. If we're talking about requesting things out of universe, or trying to help to self-direct your own path, which is, ultimately I think that's what we all want to be able to do. Is we all want to choose the path that we're going down. We don't want to be buffeted by the wind and taken into, who God knows where, by cause and effect of everybody else that's out there. Everybody else's influences on us. We were talking about the way we, how we influence each other and that butterfly effect thing earlier.
Yep.
And that's all. This is all part of it. It's the our energetic projection. The more you're in alignment with what you're projecting, the more powerful that projection is. Number one, I mean, it's more when the universe can interpret and understand exactly what you're saying, then the response or our ability to see the response, I should say, that's probably more accurate. Our ability to see the actual manifestation instantly is much greater. I mean, it's just amazing. I mean, I've seen that. I mean, we see it all the time in synchronicities, right? We'll be thinking something, and somebody in having a conversation next to us talks about something that has it's impossible for that conversation to happen any other way, because you just thought that, or that song comes on the radio that you just had rattling around in your head, or the phone rings when you're thinking about your daughter and it's your daughter. Those things, those are actual. That's that cause and effect thing. That's direct cause and effect that we're projecting on an unconscious level. Those synchronicities are, like the phone call thing. That's one that happens on a kind of an unconscious level, but it is a projection event, and it could be from either side, or it is actually more likely coming from both sides at the same time.
Well, and that's what hit me when that angel came. Number one, somewhere along the way I decided I wasn't worthy, and when that angel came, it hit me. Wow, if I'm worthy, everybody's worthy. Everybody's worthy, and there's help out there from our loved ones, not on an earthly level, but on a universal level, and it's available. All we got to do is ask. It's freely given at any given time, and you're not too good and you're not too bad to receive it.
If you need something on that earthly level, it'll come when especially it's that old when the student is ready, the teacher appears thing. Right? If you need something, need is key here. If there's something you need in this life, it will be there.
We must have needed Jake, because he came right when I was ready for him.
Yeah.
To help me waking up.
I don't know. It was good. It was good timing.
Yes.
Everything worked out. I met Greg at work. Me, Greg, and Tom, we all work together. Tom's a shop manager, and Greg and I are electricians there. And before I started talking to Greg, I just sit in my car by myself and smoke and be on my phone, or I just really didn't talk to too many people there. And I'd worked there for I don't know, like 6-8 months by then.
Yeah.
I talked to Tom. I talked to Tom on the breaks and that kind of stuff, but I didn't talk to anybody else. And then one day,
sit in the parking lot.
Yeah, sit in the parking lot. I decided to talk to Greg.
Okay.
And it wasn't, it was just odd. And ever since, we've been talking ever since then. And and I've seen Greg, because I've already been on this path for a little while now, and in this path of self discovery, self knowing, and I was at a flat spot at that time, and nothing was really happening, and it just wasn't. You get in those flat spots, and it's hard to get yourself out of them. And I started talking to Greg, Greg and Stephenie, and well, sure as shit. And within just a couple months, we were, this is all we were talking about is, just self expansion, the whole understanding that we've heard about now, all that kind of stuff, and everything's just been, combined. compiling so much faster, you know, especially, you know, after the first of this year, we all did a sweat lodge together, and like, I don't know, I mean, everything is just happening so much faster, and it's almost like now that I feel so in tune with myself at times that you know, with the synchronicities and the songs that we were talking about, when I was at work and I was making new labels for this project I was working on, and I was listening to different podcasts, and it took me almost a day to make all these labels, and I'm, you know, making the labels and listening, and I'd write a word down, you know, and on the podcast I'd hear the same word I just wrote. You know, that's odd, you know, but over and over and over through that whole day, it had to happen 20, 30 times that whole day. As I'm writing a word, or just as I finished writing a word, they would repeat the word on the podcast.
Right.
You know, and I'm just like, what? You know, I was like, okay, well, you know, and we used to say, oh man, that stuff's so crazy, but it's happening so much now. It was like, oh, that's so sane. Oh, that's so sane.
Yeah.
You know,
Natural.
So yeah, it's just been something else, you know, and this whole year is, you know, has just seems for a lot of people now, this whole year has just been so full of muchness.
There's definitely been a big energetic shift on the planet this year, and it's definitely intensifying, and it's really opening a lot of doors for people. There's a tremendous amount of understanding that's happening, understanding. You know, that people are really starting to get it. You know, it's been put out there on that Ethernet, right? It's been articulated in human language on the Ethernet. So we've got people here on this planet who have really figured out a way to explain what's going on. And once that explanation has been put out there into that collective consciousness, when that in a way that you can relate or communicate with somebody else and articulate it in a way where you can break it down and they will actually walk away understanding the concept that you're trying to share. That kind of thing has happened this year on some of these some of these knowings. Just that knowing that we are creators 100% of the time, and what we're projecting out of our mouths, what we are projecting in our minds, how we're walking on this world, and how that is actually a cause and effect thing, that those are creative processes. That stuff has been explained so deeply and so well now that you can relay that to somebody who doesn't know anything about this consciousness path. If you can get them to actually listen, that's key there. If you can actually get them to listen. Yeah, go ahead, Deon.
Oh, so I thought I was squeezing it in an opening, so I'm sorry to cut you off. But
go ahead.
you know, I think a big part of this, you know, this part of the conversation that we're having, I feel like is coming from a perspective of what the past has looked like and what it looks like now, and, you know, the present moment. But I think that a big part of this expansion of consciousness is also going to come with it an understanding of time and time travel and coming back, you know, like reaching back through time. And I don't know. I think that is a good direction maybe for this conversation to entertain for a second, because I think that, you know, you said that there's definitely been a shift this year. And I, you know, listened to some interview from a guy who was channeling Metatron, and he basically explained it, and this is something that really resonated with me too. He explained it as, you know, the sort of core council of consciousness or whatever, that's sort of like the most aware of what's happening on our planet, has basically already created a positive outcome, and it's already happened. And, you know, that's sort of when you hear the language that some of these people speak when they channel, it's almost like they are coming from, you know, from ahead of time. And I feel like I've perceived my timeless self quite often, and sort of look like, it seems to me almost like I'm reaching back. As I reach back in this moment to, just love parts and experiences of myself that I experienced, it's almost like I am that spiritual presence that was there witnessing,
Right.
Whatever trials and
Exactly.
tribulations I was. And I feel like right now I'm still being looked back upon by myself and loving it even more and more and more. So there's, this infinity concept that's coming with, this expansion.
Yes, and it's odd that you said that. Well, not odd. It's so sane that you said that, because that's one of the things I was just thinking about was time, and how have you found, and this might sound a little odd, but odd. So
You're crazy, man.
yeah, is it almost? Do you find yourself almost walking on different timelines in occasions? Where
Definitely.
where you've done
Definitely.
something, or you've had a conversation with somebody, or you put something somewhere, and it's completely different from where your perspective is at now. And then
Right.
I've even had instances where I've had conversations with people, and I've gone back 2 or 3 weeks, or 2 or 3 weeks later, and asked them about these conversations, and they're like, no, we never talked about that. I've seen different things on CNN that different people who have died that I've seen on CNN that said that they were dead, and then I look up a few weeks later, and that was never on CNN.
Or 2 years down the road, it's big news that somebody so and so died.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah.
who was that just happened with Ramona and I here a couple of years ago? Nelson Mandela.
Yeah.
I mean, we were sure that he died like 2 years before he died. And Ramona and I both remember talking about it.
Yeah.
It was weird.
It's just odd. This whole time thing is just and I'm seeing it more and more. I just listened to a podcast last week. It was a brand new podcast. It was a live stream, and in that podcast, it was like almost 3 hour long podcast, but there was 4 different points that he had hit in the podcast. And within the last month, those 4 different points he had hit, I had consciously thought about and milled them over in my mind, and thought about all these different things he was talking about and the different aspects of them. But a month later, I'm hearing it sit down into a podcast from somebody else,
Right.
and it's like that. Where's
Which came first, the chicken or the egg? So,
no,
manifestation
of both.
Yeah.
I found, and this I noted real early in my path, and it was just baffling to me because it seemed like I had left myself clues on how to understand this, how to really comprehend what the hell was going on. Now, I remember one in particular, back when I was in jail, actually, back in 1989, and I was sitting there. I was really struggling with our place here. How each one of us contribute, and what our real roles were here, and I something told me. Something sparked me to start looking at things differently, to look at them backwards, actually. In particular, look at them backwards. And I happened to be reading a book on Nostradamus. And I took the name Nostradamus and turned it around backwards, and it spells some ad art, son. And I was floored. I was like, and it was just the synchronicities all around that were just like, it was the feeling that I got, and there were other things that happened too that kind of pointed at, I left that message for myself, whether it was through publishing the book or whatever. I left that message for myself. And there's a lot of different things, little things that have happened, books that I've read, people in history that I've researched, that have like talked directly to me. It's like they were talking to me, and those were also when I was going through that, oh my God, they're talking to me stage. I was also on the other side of that. I was going, oh geez, I hope my cheese doesn't slide all the way off my cracker.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, when the time concept, to me, I was trying to contemplate. So I've always heard, as long as I'm breathing, there's endless potential. There's endless potential. So if there's always endless potential, what does that mean? What does that mean in the sense of a timeline? Well, then it hit me. I've already created every potential. Every potential has already been lived. Which one I choose depends on my conscious awareness right here, right now. But there is a part of me that is always present, that has always created those things and knows and is watching me. It's me watching me. And so whatever I choose, it's already been lived. It's just dependent on where I'm at consciously. And I'm always watching out for me, no matter what.
Oh, man. Good stuff. We are at the top of the hour, guys. And, I think in the next hour, last week I was able to articulate a theory, an idea, a vision that I had in my mind that's been rattling around in there for years that I've never been able to articulate. And I think we'll start out the second hour with that because it's pretty dynamic and it really explained a lot of things for me. So we'll start off with that, and it has to do with 144,000.
It's a good one. It's a really good one.
It's a good one. So, guys, if you're out there listening on one of those other medias, and by the way, I want to thank all of you guys for being with us, and especially Stephenie and Deon for joining us tonight. Awesome, good stuff. And they will both be here at least for the majority of the second hour, I think. So, much gratitude. And so if you're out there listening on one of those other formats, the iTunes, the Vimos, the YouTubes, wherever this podcast lands, and you want to check out more of our material and the 5+ years worth of interviews that we have in the archive section on the website, I would urge you to go over to www.the100thmonkeyradio.com and check us out. We got a lot of good stuff there. All right, guys, we will see you in hour 2. Condemnation without investigation is the height of ignorance.
Change the way you look at things, and the things you look at change.
How do you wash your sweet potato?
Namaste, man.
Wait to get out, then you shout, damn, I got freedom. Unless it's being taught, black man, I know you need one. The right time to make you free your mind. Wake up, if you missed it, then press rewind. It's the right time to make you free your mind. Wake up, if you missed it, then press rewind. It's the right time to make you free your mind. Wake up, if you missed it, then press rewind. It's the right time to make you free your mind. Wake up. Yeah, unhigh I am, you want the plan, then that's the native. Shouldn't tell an artist not to be creative. You see, the motive is to control more than business. Midless enoughness in the soul, and I'll bring much more than the average MC. Please give me a break, man. Let me be me, so I can be free to do as I please. See what I see, be who I be. And yo, act like me. I got the rhyme and my timing from the center. Lyrics from the brain, even when I start to enter. The beats I'm bending, the vibes I'm sending, it's pleasure, never better. Even though shit is a mess, I never stress, in touch with insight, therefore I'm blessed with the armor. Tell your mama, but kill the drama. It's the right time to make you free your mind. Wake up, then press rewind. It's the right time to make you free your mind. Wake up, if you miss it, then press rewind. It's the right time to make you free your mind. Wake up, if you miss it, then press rewind. It's the right time to make you free your mind. Wake up. Yo, the master rhymer indiscreet. I walk the street with the knowledge, learning about things that you can't get in college, like science from the pavement, beats from the basement. My mouth full of lyrics, and the label makes the placement. Then my face went across the screen. This girl saw me getting raw to the beats with gasoline. My self-esteem went through the roof. Stepped into the club, yo, I got juice on the MI. Now she's in my face, dragging me all around the place. Damn, it's a disgrace that I can't enjoy my craft, spew my math, cause I'm too busy running away from this girl with the dumb laugh. My path straight, so I lose the habit, and yo, I bounce like a rabbit. Yo, she's got the habit, cause she's chasing me. I'm out the door, kid, it's in the soul, and I'm free. The right time to make you free your mind. Wake up, if you missed it, then press rewind. It's the right time to make you free your mind. Wake up, if you missed it, then press rewind. It's the right time to make you free your mind. Wake up.